Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with random reviews from the Overflow room. And we continue our backwards troll through the alphabet, and we're on H, Hindemith specifically. And boy, have I got some nifty stuff for you with some good, juicy background. First, his opera News of the Day, Neues vom Tage, from 1928-29, revised a zillion times later in his life. This was one of the operas that got him into such trouble with the Nazis. It was definitely described as Entartete. It's a comedy. It's a very funny comedy, an absurdist comedy about, a couple that's going to get divorced and they argue. And there's a fabulous scene, the controversial scene that got Hindemith in so much trouble, where the soprano is taking a bath and she's naked on stage and extolling the joys of modern plumbing. It's a very similar and interesting situation to what happened to Shostakovich, with regard to Lady Macbeth of Mtsensk. There Stalin saw it and was horrified. In this case, a Nazi functionary saw it and was horrified. But in both cases, the composers were denounced. And Hindemith had a very interesting attitude himself, because later in life, he became embarrassed at what he regarded as the sort of amoral excesses of his early expressionist and Weimar period works. And, nowadays, so he revised them and he toned them down. He tried to make them a little bit more palatable. But the truth of the matter is, right now, from our perspective today, we're mostly interested in the originals with their sort of, unfiltered irony. And he was an impish wit when he was a young composer. He really was. And his music in that style is a lot of fun. So this is no exception. It's a fine performance on the Vergo label, led by Jan Lechem Koenig. Yes, him, that guy. Boy, they don't say anything down here, do they? Yeah, Jan Lechem Koenig. There he is. I knew it. I just knew it. So there he is with the Cologne Radio Symphony Orchestra, with a big cast of people you've never heard of. And it's on, like I said, Vergo, and they don't give you a libretto, which I think is absurd, especially in a comic opera. They tell you the story in great detail, which is which is a good thing, but you got to have the text. What are you going to do without the text? But there it is, the music. It's an hour and a half of good, clean, ribald fun. It really is. Next, Hindemith music for cello. This is a wonderful disc with Torleif Tedin cello and the new Sinfonietta Amsterdam under Lev Markets with Roland Puntinen piano. We've got Kammermusik number 3, which is a cello concerto. His Trauermusik for cello and string orchestra. Actually, it's viola and string orchestra. You could do it either way. The Sonata Opus 11 number 3 for cello and piano, and the Sonata in E major for cello and piano. The only thing that's missing here is the actual cello concerto. The big cello concerto, the one that Walton used in the Hindemith variations. But this is a fabulous collection of Hindemith's cello music. And here we have another Bis thing, the complete Violin Sonatas with Ulf Wallin and Roland Puntinen, again piano. Excellent performances here. There are 4 violin sonatas. Actually, not a ton, considering that Hindemith himself was a violist, but they're charming works and full of fun. And I love the D major Sonata Opus 11 number 2 with its final movement. It's marked im Zeitmaß und Charakter eines geschwinden Tanzes, frisch und stets bewegt. I've talked about this before, but it's great. In the tempo and character of a quick dance, fresh and always moving and full of joy and fun and whatever. And the C major sonata from 1939, of course, has a fugue. And it's in C major. The joke with Hindemith is that he starts in C major and then all hell breaks loose and then he ends in C major. Well, that's what happens here. So this is a fine disc of chamber music and other goodies. Then we've got Hindemith's organ concertos and his suite for mechanical organ. Yes, he wrote a suite for a mechanical organ. So we've got organ concerto for organ and orchestra. Yes. Oh my goodness, this is a fun piece. This is his late work from what was it, like the early 60s, I think, or something like that. But the organist is Martin Hasselbuck, who we all know from doing period instrument things like Liszt and whatnot. And with the Vienna Symphony under Raphael Frubeck de Burgos. Then there's his Kammermusik, which is Kammermusik number 7, Opus 46 number 2, which is actually an organ concerto for organ and chamber orchestra. And then the Suite for mechanical organ, which is also called the Triadic Ballet, which really helps, doesn't it? And that is a historical recording. These, oh my God, these are all historical. No, they're not all historical recordings. But that was recorded in 1926, 1927, 1931. And of course, the Hasselbuck recordings are more recent. This is on Koch, which I'm sure exists, doesn't exist anymore. But Hindemith's organ concertos are fun. I mean, you don't think organ concertos could be fun, but his are fun. They're really worth listening to. Then we've got, Hindemith, music for cello and piano with Wendy Warner and Eileen Buck on Bridge Records, a very, very fine series of performances. And we've got, this has the Frog He Went A-Courting variations, which are just oodles of fun. And then you've got the various sonatas from 1948, the Opus 25 number 3 that we just talked about, the Sonata Opus 11 number 3 that we talked about, and the Capriccio Opus 8 number 1. You never know with Hindemith. There's always more stuff that you haven't realized existed. But I think with this we have a very interesting selection of chamber music for strings and piano, organ concertos, an opera that was a political scandal. I mean, you begin to get a sense of the man, his amazing range and facility, and gosh, he's fun to discover. He really is. So discover some of this. You won't be sorry. And keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me.